Now that we've gone through the warp portals, this makes easy access to Turtle Rock from basically anywhere in the overworld now. Re-enter Turtle Rock through the entrance on the right, and if you remember what that owl statue said, you have to defeat the enemies from the higher platform, as once you defeat them, a treasure chest will appear, but it will only appear on the higher platform. If we had killed them from the floor below and then left Turtle Rock and re-entered it, the treasure chest wouldn't be there because the enemies would have respawned. So you want to just toss the bombs into the Dodongo snakes. And one thing that's worth mentioning is if you toss a bomb, if you're holding a bomb and it's about to explode, you can just toss it against one of the walls on the upper platform and that'll reset the bomb in a way so that you have extra time to time it perfectly. And you want to actually toss the bombs into the Dodongo snakes' mouths rather than leading them into the bombs. And once you defeat them, you'll get a small key. And this is actually we have 3 small keys now. And remember, there was that door I said it was completely optional, you didn't need to use a small key there. Alternatively, you didn't even need to get this small key if you didn't use that small key, because you really only need 2 for the next segment. Nevertheless, this is one of the dungeons where you could complete the dungeon with 1 extra key, sort of like Key Cavern a heck of a long time ago. You'll notice I played the ocarina to get back to the dungeon entrance, and I want to head back over to this screen where I can push the moving platform. And if you remember earlier in the dungeon, we came across that blue crystal switch, but I didn't hit it because we were going to leave the dungeon and that would reset the crystal switch anyway. But now I return to that room, I hit the crystal switch, and now somewhere later on in the dungeon, the crystal switch, the blocks have switched, and that will come into play later on in the dungeon. So I'm backtracking a couple screens to the room with the moving block, and this time I'm moving it so that it accesses the northeast corner, and I want to push that block and then head right once again. And we want to go back to the room where we were at the one-way panel, head through it, and from here we want to head left a couple screens. And if you recall, there were several locked blocks, locked doors sort of, that were blocking our way, and we needed 2 small keys in order to get by. Well, we actually have 2. We actually have 3 now because I didn't use it on that one door. So you can use 1 small key there, hook shot across, and use a second small key over here. There's this underground side-scrolling area here where there's these flame things that are popping up at you. Just try to avoid them. This could actually be a little tricky, but just be patient and then just jump across with your with the Rock's Feather and then head up the ladder here. And here we're going to take on one of the dungeon mini bosses in the form of Blaino. Blaino is basically a boxer and he'll punch at you. The best method is to use the spin attack. With the level 2 sword, it takes just 2 spins to defeat him. Be careful though, as you see that mega punch that Blaino tries to hit you with. If it hits you with that, not only will Link take damage, he'll actually send Link all the way back to the entrance of the dungeon. He actually punches you off the screen, which is kind of cool but kind of cheap. It's an interesting boss battle. Nevertheless, see, since we hit the blue switch, the blocks are lowered here, and we can get the dungeon item, which is the magic rod. Basically, what the magic rod is, it's sort of like the fire rod from A Link to the Past. It actually shoots a flame of fire. It's also just like the magic rod or magic wand from the original Legend of Zelda after you get the magic book. You can test it out. It shoots flames. You can burn enemies with it. You can light torches in the distance. So it has some good uses. And we want to head left a couple screens. Remember, I was at this screen before and I mentioned we needed the dungeon item to get what was to the left here. And now we want to head down the screen. We can jump off the ledge, and you'll notice there are 2 torches in the 2 corners of the room. You can use the magic rod to light up both of these torches, and a treasure chest will appear containing a small key. And again, since I didn't use that one small key on that one optional door, I actually didn't even need this small key if I really didn't want it, because we have one extra small key to go around. As you can see, I can just use the magic rod on Hynix, and it takes literally just 2 hits to defeat him. So, like I said, this is pretty strong. It's pretty much just as strong as the boomerang. I'm not exactly sure. I think it depends on the enemies, but it's very useful. You should use it a lot. Now that we have the magic rod, we can finally make our way. Well, not finally, but we can get the nightmare key, and we can get to the dungeon boss. So I pushed the block and went to this side sequence, and there are these sort of ice blocks, and we can melt them using the magic rod. On this screen, you have to jump up and melt only the top of the 2 rows, so then we can use the other row as basically like a platform in order to get to the left side. Here's another mini boss in the form of Cue Ball. He's a little different this time around since we are in fire rather than in water, but the method of defeating him is exactly the same. And now that we have the level 2 sword, he's even more of a joke. Really easy, actually. After defeating him, head through the door above, and there's another one of these puzzles where you have to push the moving platform and you have to cover all of the black holes. So just push it and follow the exact same pattern that I am using. There's actually multiple patterns you could go about. But once all of the patterns, all of the black holes have been blocked, you can actually, a treasure chest will appear containing the Nightmare's key. So we are now ready. We have the dungeon item, we have the Nightmare's key. We are now ready to take on the dungeon boss, the Nightmare. You can jump off the ledge to the right and then head right a screen, and we were actually at this room before. Instead, we just want to head down 2 screens to get back to this where we could get extra items. We can push the blocks on the right side, so it's easier access. Alternatively, you can just play your ocarina, head to the entrance of the dungeon, and then just make your way a couple screens this way in order to get here. I sort of messed up because I actually have to go down the steps at the bottom there, so I just got to backtrack 1 screen, head down, push this block, jump across, and then head up here. And then head down a screen. And there's this staircase at the top right corner which we've sort of avoided before, but the reason we avoided it is because we didn't have the magic rod. But now that we do have the magic rod, we can melt all of this ice. This is a little tricky, this room, because as you can see there's that lone piece of ice on the left side, and we have to jump and use the magic rod as we jump. Could be a little tricky as there's some timing involved, and if you get too close of it, it'll say, ooh, like you'll freeze, sort of. But it also takes some timing, and I'm messing up numerous times here. Usually it doesn't take me this long, but eventually, come on, Moss, we can do it. Let's get it. Come on. There we go. You can finally melt it with the magic rod, and then we can jump across and head left the screen. This is a little tricky here. We want to melt the bottom row, and then we want to melt that 1 column. And you can't really melt anything else, otherwise it will cause, there's a little staircase of the ice, and you will lose that staircase if you don't have it. Crackle, foosh, you are finished. I will never let you play the instruments of the sirens. And here is the dungeon boss, Hothead, and it's a real fun boss, and the only way to defeat him is using the magic rod. All you have to do is just repeatedly hit him in his head, and eventually he will crack into a smaller head and move a little quicker, and then you just keep using the magic rod. It's quite simple. Be careful for its fire splash that it makes, as if one of those hits you, it takes 4 full hearts of damage if you have just a regular tunic. After a bunch of hits, he will finally be defeated. Crackle, why did you come here? If it weren't for you, nothing would have to change. You cannot wake the windfish. Remember, you too are in the dream. So of course, again, we are in the dream. We wake the windfish. We're gonna disappear apparently. Nevertheless, get the heart container, and that is now full health, 14 heart containers, and we got the 8th instrument of the sirens, the thunder drum. So that's it. We've got all the instruments. It is now time to wake the windfish. So join me for the 9th and final chapter, and we will do just that.